Hello guys, welcome back. Today in this video, we are going to walk through how to deploy a Java-based full-stack applications using Ansible in the real-world DevOps. We will take you through a step-by-step process, starting from writing a Jenkins pipeline script to automate the build process of the application. Then we'll move on to writing an Ansible playbook to handle the server configuration, environment setup, and ultimately deploy the applications onto the remote server. By the end of this video, you will understand how to integrate Jenkins with Ansible for a seamless CI/CD process and be able to automate the deployment of any Java-based full-stack project. So let's get started. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe now and share this video among with your friends who are in need. So before we move on to the setups, let's understand what is the prerequisites. So you should have some basic AWS knowledge to create EC2 instances, and you should know how to install Ansible and do the basic setup of inventory and Ansible configuration file. And you should have some knowledge to install Jenkins and create some jobs and some basic understanding on Jenkins setups. No worries if you're not sure about this Ansible setups and Jenkins setup, if you're totally new to this, what you can do, you can just follow my previous recordings or previous videos, which I have given in descriptions below. Let's understand the setups now. So we are going to use Jenkins to build the project. And from there, we are going to get the code from the GitHub code base, okay, from the remote repository. And Jenkins is going to do the unit testing, and then it's going to do build, and any quality check if you have added, then it will do the quality checks. And same times, once the build is over, what we can do, we are going to use Ansible for the configuration management and continuous deployment here. So what you do, Jenkins will trigger the deployment. So we are going to set up and integrate Ansible with Jenkins. So once in the Jenkins, the build process is over, it will trigger the deployment. Means it will trigger the Ansible playbook. And then what it'll do, once the Ansible playbook is triggered, it will deploy the UI and the backend into a server, and the database will be deployed into a different server. So here we are going to use two separate servers. One is for UI and the backend, and the other one we are going to use for the database. So if we just understand here, the UI and the backend, what we are going to do, the first thing we are going to install Java 17, and then we'll see how we can install Tomcat and do some configurations of the Tomcat server. And then we'll deploy the applications. That is the .war file, which is generated as part of the build process in Jenkins. And then in database, what we'll do, we are going to install the MySQL database, and then we'll see how we can create the database and creations of tables. For UI and backend, we are going to use Amazon Linux 2023 server, and for database, we are going to use Ubuntu 22. So first, let's see how we can write the pipeline script to build the entire project. So here we are going to use the Jenkins, and to build the application, for that, we are going to write the Jenkins file, right, to write the pipeline script. So let me show you. So here I have kept the repository in my account Ranjit for GitHub. So you can see the repository name as login web app, which is nothing but the Java project, right? So here all the application codes available along with what we have the Jenkins file, right? So this Jenkins file, we are going to write, right, the pipeline script to build the application. So let me show you here. So here is the very simple pipeline script. You can see I have written in the declarative mode, and you can see there three stages I have added it. One is the build, the other one is to deliver, and the other one is to execute the Ansible playbook. So if you're already familiar with the Jenkins, how to write the pipeline script and all. So it will be easy for you to understand this and do the setups, right? So if you're totally new to this Jenkins, I would suggest to go my previous videos on Jenkins, how to install it and how to write the pipeline script, right, for the beginner. So you can just watch that video and come back again here to do the entire project. So now, if we go here, the first thing you notice here that I'm using a tool called Maven to build the applications. So as it is the Java project, right? So I'm using the Maven tool to build the applications. So this is, you need to set off in the tools sections in your Jenkins, all right? So now we have written here 3 stages. The first one is your build. So what I'm doing here in the build stages, I'm just simple using mvn command to build this package using clean and package parameter passing to this mvn command. And here I'm using the sh as these applications or the server where I'm building these applications is the Linux environment. That's why I'm using sh. If you're building it in Windows or in Mac machines, for Mac, it will be again sh. If you're building in Windows, then it should be bat, right? So you have to use bat here. Now, the other directives I have used it here as post, right? So what it will do after the build is success, so I have written if it is success, then archive the artifacts. So based on your requirement, you can put these directives or else you can ignore it. That will be no problem, right? So next is what I have used here. I have used it here to deliver to Ansible. So once the application is built, right, it will generate the WAR file. So that WAR file, I am just delivering it to the Ansible server from where I will use Ansible playbook to execute the entire applications, right? So you can see the next is I have written to execute the Ansible playbook. Okay, so if you see this deliver part, right? If I go to this particular examples, right, particular diagram over here, and what you have seen here, like what is written here, like we are triggering the deployment in Ansible, right? So here I'm using this stage as delivered to Ansible. So in your case, you can use any other artifactory, right, binary artifactory to deliver the artifacts. So most of the companies, right, they used to do like deliver to different artifactory, and from this artifactory they keep it and they just upload it and execute it through Ansible. So in my case, you can see here, I have just in this diagram I have just used to trigger the deployment, and along with so Jenkins also I'm using to deliver the artifact. So the artifact here is .war file, right? So once the build is over, so what it's doing, it is just delivering that war file to the Ansible. And then it is triggering the deployment, means executing the playbook, whatever we are going to write in Ansible, right? So that is what this stage is all about, right? After that, we are using to execute the Ansible playbook. So here you can see I'm using a different agent. So the agent I'm using here is I've given it as Ansible. So I've given a label as Ansible. So whatever agent I have set up in Jenkins, that name I have given as Ansible. So that means this particular step, or we can say this particular stage, will be executed on this Ansible machine. This is a separate machine. Okay. Now, what is that? Here, I'm just going to this particular etc Ansible directory where we have the playbooks available. Now I'm using Ansible-playbook to execute the playbooks, right? So this is a very simple pipeline script, we can say, right? So only 3 stages. And remember, in this particular delivered to Ansible stage, you can use your artifacts to upload to the Nexus repository if you want, right? Or any other repository, or else you can upload into S3 bucket also. So to uploading this artifact to S3 bucket and Nexus repository, I have created a few videos on that. So the links I'll provide in the description below. So you can just follow that and you can implement that in your pipeline script. Okay, now let's move into the Ansible playbook. So we'll now just write the Ansible playbook to execute the deployment. So what it will do, it will do the continuous configuration, or we can say the configuration management and the continuous deployment, right? So it will do the configuration management and continuous deployment. So let's see. So if you go to my repository, my GitHub account, right, there you'll find one repository, a project I have named it as full stack deployment Ansible, right? So you can see there, I have written all the Ansible playbooks with the required roles, setup, and all the configurations and everything. Okay, so let me explain you what is written in the Ansible playbook to do the configurations management as per the requirement, right? So as it is a full stack, right? Full stack applications, as I told before, right? We are going to use both the front end, back end, and database there, right? So all three, we have to write it. Now, if I go to the code, the structure is like this. So as I said, I'm using roles here, different roles I have created. So two roles for database, one role called as DB, and for UI, for front end, I have created a role called as UI, DB and UI, right? So let me first go through this UI. What is written in UI? So if I go here under tasks folder, if you're familiar with writing the Ansible playbooks and familiar with roles, then you know how where to put the roles and all, right? And how to segregate roles. So if I go here to the main.yml, so here all the tasks, right? Whatever required for our project is written everything here. So if you're not really familiar with this Ansible and you're totally new to this, I would suggest first go through the Ansible basics and understand how Ansible works and how the setups you have to do and what is the YAML and how to write the playbook. So all these links, right, video links, I have given into this descriptions below, so you can go through that and then come back here. Okay, now let me tell you. So what is the requirement? As I said, it's a Java application, and we need this to be deployed to a Linux machine, right? So the Linux machines we have given here is MICHN Linux 2023. So all the commands or all the syntax or tags, whatever is written, so that is applicable for MICHN 2023 Linux machines, right? So here, if you see, using here, the first thing is these are the tasks given, right? The first task is to install the Java. So I'm using the Java 17, and I'll just quickly go through this because if you should be familiar with this process, right? So I'm using this Ansible built-in .yum package manager, right, to install the Java, right? So once it is installed, we can go through and write how to use these modules, right? These are the Ansible modules, built-in modules to install or configure some software, right? So I'm using yum module as it is a Linux machines, right? So the name and the state is present. So the state present is to install. And if you're not sure about that, you can just go to the Ansible documentations. Okay. And what you do, if I go here, Ansible documentations, there you can find the module sections there, right? So if I go to Ansible modules, so using Ansible modules and plugins here, so you can go to this all module sections in Ansible, and if you search it over here like yum if we do Control F over here, okay, and search for yum, see, you'll see it here, the yum, and which is manages the packages with yum package manager. So you can go over here and you'll find all the requirements and the parameters over here. See all the parameters, whatever is required for that. So if we go over here, that's the one which we have used state expression to install it. And then we are using this name, right? Another task and the module used groove to create a groove of Tomcat because we are using this now. See, what is the requirement? As I have mentioned in the so if we see this particular diagram over here, right? So what we're doing, we are installing Java 17, then Tomcat, and then we are configuring Tomcat, and then deploy the application. So that is the UI and backend part, which we are going to write in the playbook, right? So this is what we are going to create the Tomcat group. To install the Tomcat, we need this group to be added over there. And what I'm doing, I'm going to use another model user to create the user section first because we need the Tomcat user and group to be added, right? Now, the next is to download. It's very simple to do that. Installations of Tomcat is nothing but to install the package and just extract it and then use that executables to run this Tomcat server, right? So what I'm doing here by using this get underscore URL module, we are just extracting or downloading the Tomcat package, right? This is actually in a tar.gz, which is nothing but the compressed file, right? So what we are doing, we are just using this particular location to download this particular tar file, and then after it gets downloaded, we are using the command module, and this is the command winchar xvf, which is nothing but the Linux command to extract the tar file. So here we're using the Ansible, right? The similar to the Linux machines. Now after that, we are going to create a symbolic link by using this file module. So whatever the file we created it, right, extracted it to this particular OPT folder and Tomcat this. So we are going to create a symbolic link of this particular path, and we are using user share and Tomcat, right? So this user share Tomcat, which we have given it home as user share Tomcat over here, all right? So this is what the link. And after that, we are just changing the ownership of the Tomcat installations, right? So this is the Tomcat folder where we are going to install the Tomcat. We are changing the ownership so that it will be seamlessly get deployed and will not impact any access related issues or anything will encounter, right? So everything we are giving it over here. After that, what we are doing, we are simply copying this file, whatever the file generated as part of the building Jenkins, right? So that will be as login webapp.war. So this particular file from this particular path, as you know, the delivered, I had delivered that path, right? That file to this particular path. If we go to the pipeline script, right, there we see, right, we had, let me go through that. So this is where we had delivered this in our Jenkins pipeline script, right? After the build, we had delivered to this path. So if we go to the Jenkins pipeline script over here, you can see we had copied that particular login web app var to this etc Ansible and app directory, right? From this directory, what are we are doing? We are just copying this var file to the destination folder of the Tomcat server. So we are going to create another server, Tomcat server, right? Where users say Tomcat and the web apps. So if you're familiar with the Tomcat server and how to use Tomcat, you should know this where you should keep the var file, right? The package file, so that Tomcat will take it and run the applications, right? So we have to put this into web apps folder of the Tomcat server. And then after we put it over here, we can start the Tomcat. So here we are using startup.sh. We have to go to the bin directory into the Tomcat folder and then use the startup.sh, which will trigger the Tomcat server. Okay, so this is what about the UI part. Now, if we move into the, if I go back to the roles again here, right? Let me go here. So now this UI part over. Now, if I go to the DB, there I have just written this again under tasks, we have the main.yaml, right? So similar way, we have written to install the database over here, right? So here what we are using, we are going to install the MySQL database, right? And then we'll create some database and then we'll create table. Let's see what is done here. The first thing is, and as I said before, we are going to use Ubuntu 22 machine here for the MySQL database. Okay, so we have a separate server for front end and separate server for database. So now what we are going to do using, as this is Ubuntu machines, here the package manager will be the installer, or the package manager is different. That is apt, or you can use apt-get, apt_get. Okay, so apt-get or apt. So here I'm using apt over here, update cache. So where we have given yes. So whatever the cache is, will update so that it will not impact any kind of installations or the future installations or anything, right? So here after that, what we are doing, we are just installing the pip3, which is required for the MySQL database, to installations of MySQL database and some dependencies, some prerequisites, right? So for that, I'm using the package name is Python 3-pip and present, which is nothing but to install it, right? The state is present. Similarly, after it gets, again, once we use this install pip3, right? Once the pip3 is installed, using that same pip package manager, this is the Python installer, right? So I'm using this PyMySQL to install the Python MySQL, right? Install it. So once it is get installed, then we can install the, again by using pip, right? So by using this apt again, we can use this MySQL server to install the server here. Okay, so for PyMySQL, we need this pip. Otherwise, apt is okay for the MySQL server. So MySQL server, MySQL-server present. And remember, these packages will be different for the other machines. Like this package is applicable for Ubuntu 22, but if you are using some different machines, then this package will be differ. So you have to follow the documentations and while installing and all of this. After that, what we are doing, we are starting the MySQL service. So the database service, we are starting it over here. So once it is get started, then we need to change the MySQL root password. So the MySQL root password need to be changed. For that, what we are using MySQL underscore user module, right? MySQL underscore user module. So if we go to this module sections, right, whatever I was showing you just before. So if I go to this module section, let's search for MySQL underscore user. See, MySQL underscore user. So if you go here, you can find, see, the requirements. That's why PyMySQL, right? That is what we installed very fast by using pip, right? So you can see the prerequisites and requirements, what is that? And all the parameters over here, what you need. Everything is given here with some examples also. You can follow these documentations, how to use this, right? Create database, user using hashed password, how to create the database, everything is given over here. Now, so this MySQL underscore user module is a MySQL module I'm using over here. So name given as root, as we are going to change the root password, right? Set the root password. So password here I have given as Sunday@2022. So this is, you can see the password I have given as very plain text, right? As a plain text, but this is not the one which you have to set up in your organizations when working. So here I'm just going to show you some demo here. So for that, I've just given some plain text now. Once we execute it and we see how it is working, then what we'll do, we'll change it to use group parts and Ansible Vault to secret or hide these passwords, to encrypt this password, right? So we'll use Ansible Vault. I'll show you how we can use Ansible Vault to secretly keep your sensitive information over there. Okay, now I'm using host, local host. Yes, the server will be treated as your local host, and this login underscore unit is socket to connect the first time without the password, right? We are connecting. After that, we connect, we're changing the password of the root to this way. Then state version and privileges I'm giving all. So based on the requirement, you can set up the privileges. You can follow these documentations, user MySQL underscore user module, then you're there, you will find all these things. After that, what we are doing, we are just going ahead and creating the database. Simple, right? Whatever the password we changed, right? In this particular part. So here we are giving the same user login underscore user. These are the arguments, you'll find it. And here we are using another module called MySQL underscore DB. And this is, remember, a community. You can find the community.mysql. The same thing also. Here we can add it community.mysql, right? If you don't add it, no problem. It will, the Ansible will treat it as like it will use as for the coding is given there. Okay, so what happened here? MySQL DB, another module is being used, and here we are creating a database called DevOps class state present, and we use this login user and password whatever we change there. After that, what we're doing, we are copying the database DOM file, right? We are copying the database DOM file, just using copy module. So what is this? It is the Ansible DB. So if we go to the file right over here itself, if I go here, you can see I have another folder called DB, right? So in this DB directory, we have a file called DevOps class.sql. So which is nothing but the, see, only the SQL statements to create table. So once the database is created, we can upload this file to the Ansible and execute it so that it will create table for us automatically. We don't have to. So these are the schemas, right? Structures of the tables. Now, if I go back there to the roles again, now I just copy, right? After that, what do we do? See, we just copied this DevOps class.sql, which is nothing but the create table statements, which will create to a temp directory of the machine, right? So after that, we are using again this MySQL underscore DB module to restore or to import it, right? So we can use import to import this SQL file, whatever is given. It's kind of a DOM file you can take in .sql. It's kind of a script which can execute, right? So again, we need this root user ID and password, and the name means the database name where you want to import this. What you have to do, we are going to import the target, which file we copy to the temp, right? So what it will do, it will just the same thing we are going to see it while executing. I'll show you how it looks like. Okay, and if I go to the other structures over here, you'll find like, see, as I said, I have two roles, and here I'll show you how I have called these roles, right? If I go site.yaml, so under roles folder, right, you can put a file named it as site.yaml, or any file name you can give it there. Based on the project, you can write it and execute it. So here I have two roles, whatever is created, right? I'm just calling over here. One is the web server, the host, right? And this UI, the task, whatever is written, will be executed under this web server. And this DB role will be executed on this DB server. So when we saw that, right, we'll have two different servers for UI plus backend, right, we'll have a server, and for database, we'll have a server, right? So two different servers and two different rules I'm going to execute. And if you see here, we have this DB folder where we have the SQL dump files. We can see the SQL statement files which we need to upload into the database or use to create the tables, right? And similarly, this app which we had, written in Jenkins pipeline script to copy the file into this login web.var into this app folder, right? It's once it is copied, it can be used to deploy into the Tomcat server by Ansible playbook, right? So here we can see we have the host and ansible.ch. I'll explain you when we execute these parts, right? And one more thing, I'll show you this group underscore vars. And here you'll find some variables over there and vars file and vault. So this vars and vault, I'll explain you next. So let me first execute this entire jobs. Okay, so before executing, let me show you how we can create a job in Jenkins and then do all kind of setups and execute that one, right? So let's go ahead and create a job in Jenkins first, and we'll do the necessary setups and then we'll execute it. So here I just logged into the Jenkins, and let's go to new item and just give a name, job name, suppose I'll give us full stack of something I gave it. Something I gave it as full stack of. So select pipeline script, as we are going to use the pipeline script to create the job. So select pipeline job and then give a description such for you. Suppose I'll give it as full stack of deployment, or I'll just give it as build and deploy. Okay, and what we need, just leave it all this, and so we'll directly go to the pipeline section over here, pipeline script. So as we are using this source code management as Git, right? So we have to select Git here and the repository URL. So here you have to provide the application repository, right? So in our case, we are using this login web app, right? So let's go to this login web app. You can also fork this one to your account, and you can use this particular repository, right? To build and to do the automations in your, to do the automation. So let's get this copied. And if I go here, just paste it. So this is the repository URL of the application. And this particular URL or repository is actually public, right? So that's why it will not ask for any credentials over here. So if it is private, then you have to select and add any credentials if you want, right? So now, as it is public, we did not give any credential over here. And the branch, you need to build it, right? So in our case, the branch we are going to build is full stack deployment Ansible. Full stack deployment Ansible. The exact name you have to provide it here. So suppose I'll give it as full stack deployment Ansible, right? So let's see, full stack deployment Ansible, or you can just copy from here and paste it. That's simple. Okay. Then now what we can do, the script path is given it as by default, it is Jenkins file. So in our case, it is also, we have created it as Jenkins file. Okay, so if you have given a different name or if you have a different folder inside it, you are keeping the file. So you have to specify that path over here with the file name. Okay, so once it is done, that's all. We don't have to do anything, simply save it. Okay, so what we did, we just created a job, and this particular pipeline script, right, is going to be executed. Okay, so here we have given isn't any in the pipeline script, so that the pipeline script will run on the built-in node or in the master machines or master node, which is in the Jenkins server. Okay, but there in one stage, we have given it as Ansible, right? Here the label or the agent, we have set it as Ansible. This is just a name, right? Label name. You can give anything. It's not exactly we are running in Ansible. We have to provide Ansible. Don't get confused. Here I've just given a name, but let me change it over here. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to set up an agent. That means the Ansible machine, whatever, because we are going to execute the playbook on the Ansible server from Jenkins, right? Now we are going to integrate the Ansible and execute from Jenkins, right? So what we have to do for that, we have to go to the dashboard here. So we have created the job. Okay, let me set up the agent. So manage Jenkins. So here you have to go to the nodes, and you can see here we have only the master node or built-in node. Click on new node. So just give a node name. Okay, suppose I'll give as Ansible, uh, Ansible, uh, something like demo. I'll give as Ansible demo. Different name, any name you can give Ansible demo, or I can just give as Ansible server, right? Let it give us Ansible demo. So permanent agent and descriptions, you can give whatever you want. So number of executor based on the resources, you can provide the number of executors here. So remote directive where you want that agents to be, all the things to be created, right? Set up. So the remote regime, so the remote root directory, you can provide it. So suppose I'll give it as home and Ubuntu. So the Ansible machine is actually Ubuntu. So the home directory you can give any path, any directory based on your requirement, right? And here label. So label, I'll give it as Ansible demo, same label, because the same label we are going to use in our this. Here I'm using Ansible, so I have to modify it, right? So let me first finish this one. So Ansible demo, I gave a name. So use this node as much as possible and launch agent by connecting it to the controller. Okay. So and keep this agent online as much as possible. Okay. So this usage, as we have given a label, so what we can mention, use this node as much as possible. That means any job, right, can take this node, right? So, but we want only build jobs with label expression matching this node. Okay, only build jobs with label expressions matching this node. So we have set it as Ansible demo. So where the Ansible demo, it finds the job or that particular stage will be triggered on this machine. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it. Now, what happened? We created one agent over here in Jenkins. Now you can see it is offline, right? It is offline here. So this Ansible demo is offline here. So I just want to make it online. So how I'll do it, just click on this and it provides few steps and that needs to be executed on the agent machine. So in the Linux that machines, right? So for our case, we have to log into our Ansible server, right? So these Ansible machines here. Let me copy the IP address here. Let me log in quickly. And here, actually, so the key I have used actually Jenkins server, so don't get confused again. So Ubuntu @ so this is my Ansible server, okay? But the key I have named it as Jenkins server because there are a lot of same keys being used for multiple server, right? So I'm using it. Now, if I go back to the folder, right? The remote directory I had given as home Ubuntu, right? See, this is the path home Ubuntu. Good. I just did. So I have given this path as the remote root directory, right? Now what I need to execute the agent jar file over here. So what I do, we have to just go here and first download this. Okay. So let's copy this. Now, if I see here, see agent.jar is just downloaded. I used call command to download this agent.jar. And you can see here, right? This particular path is nothing but our Jenkins IP address, right? From Jenkins, it is downloading this agent.jar so that from this using this agent.jar from Ansible, we can connect to the Jenkins server, right? So what we can do, we got this agent.jar. Now we have to execute this particular command on the Ansible machine or on the agent machine, which one we are going to make it isn't this machine, right? So, and make sure that Java is installed because this agent.jar is a Java program, right? And to execute this, we need to install the Java. So let make sure Java is installed. So if I just check Java version, so Java 17 is installed. So you can install Java before that. So let's get this line copied. Okay. See, it's connected now. It's connected, right? And what we did, just executed this. It's very simple, right? Just download this agent.jar and copy this particular line and paste it over here, and it's connected. So if I go back here and just go to nodes, and you can see here, this is now online, right? Now we can execute our pipeline script on this machine. Okay, so one more thing I'll show you guys. So here you can see it is connected, right? But in the backend, actually, it is using a random port, right? And this web socket should be open. So there are one setups which you need to do, and you should know when it needs to be done. So what you can do, you can just simply go ahead to the system and make sure this IP address, right, is the correct IP address of your Jenkins server, Jenkins URL, or else sometimes agent will provide a different IP address and it will not able to connect it. So this will be changed actually when you restart the Jenkins server. Okay, suppose in AWS side, whenever we restart any machine, it creates different IP address, right? The public IP address gets changed in case of AWS EC2 instances, right? So we have to add that one accordingly and save it. And one more thing is about the port, right? I'm going to show you the port here, but okay, so not this one. So if I go to manage Jenkins again and go to security, so under security, so here the agent port, right? TCP port for inbound agents. You can just make it random or port if you are using any port or random, you can use it. But before it was actually previous versions, you have to select either fixed or random. But nowadays, if you disable it also not using also, that's very fine. So our agent is online. So what we can do now, we can go ahead and execute the job. So before you executing the job, make sure the Ansible playbook and the required folder structure setups have been done in the Ansible server. Okay, so let me connect to the Ansible server here. So you can see it is connected. So now what I can do, let me log into another window. Search. So I have to log into the server, Ansible server, right? Just log into the Ansible server here. Good. So I just logged in. What I need to do now, so let me change myself as SU. So let's go to DC Ansible and the project, whatever I was just explaining you, right? Here, the folder structure, the same setups been done over here. So under etc Ansible, I have kept all these things. So there are a few changes I am going to do, and I'll show you what changes you have to do. So first thing is we have to set up the inventories, right? So let me go ahead and set up this inventory. So this file is entirely empty, right? Nothing is there. So I'm going to write some groups over here. Two groups I'm going to write. One is web server, and the other one is the DB server. Okay, DB server. So in the web server, I have to just, so as given in this diagram, right, we are going to get two servers, and one for UI plus backend, another one is for database. So for the UI and for backend, right, what we have to do, we have to provide the IP address in the web server. Okay, so let's get the IP address from the instances. So if I just go here, you can see I have two servers created. One is for front end like app server, another will be DB server. So I need to get this app server IP, which is our Amazon Linux 2023, right? So let's copy this, paste it here, and you have to use the Ansible user underscore user equal to, it is ec2 hyphen user, right? For Amazon Linux, default is Ansible ec2 hyphen user. And similarly for DB server also, we have to get the IP address. So for DB server, now let's copy this one, okay? And Ansible underscore user equal to, and for DB server is the Ubuntu server, right? So we can just give it as Ubuntu. Now let's go ahead and save this. So all this setup is done for web server and DB server. And these two servers, we need to connect from the Ansible, right? And then deploy, do the configuration and deploy our applications. So to connect these two servers, we should have the keys added into the Ansible configurations file, or if you're using directly using the key-based authentications by sharing the keys, you can do it. But the ideal way is to having the key file, right? Private key file or public private key file, PEM file to connect to the server. So the PEM file I have stored in this Ansible machines, right? Ansible server. So if I go to this ansible.ch and this setups, you have to also do that. Okay, now let me go to just search for private underscore key. Okay, so this private underscore key files. So you can see here, I have this under Ubuntu, I have this key file Ansible demo key.pem. Normally what we have to do, we need to hide these files in a hidden directory, right? We have to hide this file in a hidden directory. So here I have, for this demo, I have just kept it under home Ubuntu, which is not secure. This is actually not the right way to do. But for our demo purposes, I have just kept it here to show you how it works. But you can keep it in a hidden directory and just give the path over here. Okay, so Ansible demo key is there, the same key which is used to create the EC2 instances, right? So done, Ansible.cfg done. Now I have just added into the inventory files, right? So let's do a ping so that we'll confirm like we can able to access the server from the Ansible. So what I can do, I can just use Ansible -aim, and I'm going to use ping module to web server to make sure this web server is accessible, right? Hit enter. Yes. So first time it will ask to check the fingerprints. Yes. So you can see here, we got the success. Like from Ansible, we are able to connect to the app server. Similarly, let's do a test for DB server as well. DB server. Yes. Good. So now we can see here, we can able to access the DB server as well. So now both app server as well as DB server is accessible from Ansible server, right? Now all setups are done now. Now let's go ahead and execute the job. Okay, so if I go there, let me go to the Jenkins and execute the job. So here we have created the full stack app. Now let's go ahead and click on build now. Okay, the job is now running. Let's go and check. See, it started by Ranjit Swing and running on Jenkins, which is the master node, right? The first few things we had given as isn't any, right, in the Jenkins file, right? So this isn't any. So this days is going to run on the master node, and this also will run on the master node. The build will happen and deliver, but the executions we're going to run on Ansible node. But here it will fail. Why? Because see, here we did not change the label. We created a label with a different name. You remember, we created as Ansible demo, right? So we need to change it. So let the job to fail. Definitely it's going to fail. So the build is still going on. By the time the job running, so let me change it, right? So we go here and change the Ansible demo. Okay, so just wait for here. Let it complete. So the building will take, see, it's just building the build is success now. And after that, it is going to archive and then copying this, right? See, it's now copying this to the etc Ansible app, right? Let's see, let it copy. So the second stage is running. Okay, I got it. It's going to fail over here because see, the IP address is wrong. The Ansible IP address is different, right? So if I go here and check, see, it is 13.127.154.51. But here, the IP address is wrong, right? So if I go here, see, it is 13.126. So where we have to change, we have to change this in our pipeline script, right? So what I'll do, let's go here and modify this. See, this needs to be changed because the Ansible IP has been changed. Okay, now what I'll go here, I'll do and change it over here. At the same time, as I mentioned here, the label, right, Ansible demo. So let me first, yeah, it's failed, right? Timed out and it's failed. So what two changes we have to do? One change is the Ansible IP address, and the other one is the, see, this Ansible demo, the label we had given us Ansible demo. So the label, we have to change it as Ansible demo. I got it. So then now let's commit the changes. Then now let's go ahead and execute one more time. Start. Now, okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, the building is going on. Build is completed, and it's just copied successfully. The deliver is success, right? Is copied the file to the app server, right? This file. So if I just log into the Ansible server here, I have already logged in. So if I go here, so to the app directory, right? So let's go to the app directory here and see, here it is. So the 1st of August and 10:39. So if I check the date over here, so 10:39, just now the file get copied. So good, the delivery stage also success, right? Now let's check the executions, whether it is executing successfully or not. So here the executions, okay, the executions seems failed. The executions seems failed. So what is Sage? An error occurred while trying to read the vault file. Okay, good. So as I said, we have not set up the vault yet, right? But the vault was created over here, right? So what I can do here, let me just go ahead and delete the vault. So where the vault will be there, I showed you right in the group underscore vars. So let's go to the group underscore vars. All. So let me first delete this vault. Okay. All right. Sorry, should be rm, and we have to keep the vault. Okay, done. So it's clear now, nothing pending. So we have only vars folder. Fine. Let's come back. That's okay. Now let's go ahead and execute the jobs. Let's go ahead and execute the job one more time. So here, this time, the executions failed because of the vault, which is not set up, right? So let's go ahead and build now. Let's go ahead. So building, yeah, the build is success. It copied. And now you can see it's just running the playbook, right? So it's first gathering the facts. And you can see here, it is installing the Java. So as per the task we have written in the playbook, it will install one after another. So the rest of the task will be done one after another. So here you can see it has downloaded the Tomcat server and done all the extractions and created a symbolic link, what we have seen in the playbook, right? So after that, what it did, it just copied the WAR file into web folder. Done. So the UI part, the web server part has been completed. So now it's working on the DB server. Similarly, it will also first install the database server and then do the required changes, whatever we have written in the playbook. So let's see. It will take some time to install all the required software, right? Whatever. So now it is installing the pip3, Python pip3 module. So once it is installed, it will install the database. Okay, so it's finished successfully. Now, if we go here, so let's go and check the logs. So here started by Ranjit Swain here. Now, if we go there, first, as per the pipeline script we have written, it first built the project, the application, and it created the WAR file, right? So after that, what happened? It copied that WAR file to the Tomcat server, to the web server, and then what it's going to do, sorry, it's not copying the file to the web server, it's copying the file to the Ansible, from where our playbook will copy and put it into the web server, right? So here our playbook has been executed. So based on the roles we have set up, right, web server, UI, and DB roles, based on that, it is executed here. So first it's install the Tomcat server and then install the DB server. Now we can see our playbook has successfully been executed. Now let's connect to the application and see whether it is working or not. So what we can do, we can just go ahead and get the UI IP address. Okay, go here and it's 8080, the Tomcat server port number 8080, and the application name is login with app, right? Hit enter. So here it is. Now we can see the application has successfully been deployed, right? Similarly, if we see the database also, right, it also would have installed and copied or created the table, right? So if we go here and get the DB, let's go ahead and get the DB IP address and connect to the DB server. So if I get it, let's go here and connect, search, Apple file. So the database is the Ubuntu server, right? Let's hit enter. Yes. So it's connected to the database servers. Okay. So we are connected to the database server now. Let's connect to the database. So how we'll do? So to connect to the database, we can just type MySQL command. Okay. Then hyphen u. The user we are using here is root, and we had changed the password, right? Hyphen p. So where you can get this username and password, if you go our playbook, right? So if I go here, cd roles, I go to task roles and db folder, task. Okay, and here we'll have the main.yaml file, right? So if we go down here, see, set MySQL root password we had set up, and the name, username we had given root, and the password we had given Sunday@2022, right? Similarly, so what we can do here, we can just hit enter, see MySQL -u root user ID -p, and the password is Sunday@022. See, we are able to connect to the database. Now, if I just execute the database queries over commands here, so what I suppose I'll just use so databases. See, here the DevOps class, the database, as per our SQL queries, right? It has been created. So now it has been created, the DevOps class. Now let's use this DevOps class and see whatever the queries we had kept in, whether it is created or not. So what I can do, I can just make it use DevOps class, use DevOps class. Okay, database changed. Now, if I just see here, sort tables, right? So tables, see, this is the user table, right? This is the user table. So if we go to our SQL queries, right? So let's go and let me show you to the DB folder, right? To the DB folder, we'll have this, see, this app contains the application and DB contains the database, right? So if I go here, we will have the DevOps class.sql, right? This is what we had copied during the imported or executed during the database server setup, right? So here, first initially, we have created a table called user. So that's what we can see here. The user table has been created. Now, what you can do if I describe this table, so dsc user, see, whatever the field has been given, everything we can see it. Okay, so now we can see how we can install or complete setup can do using the Ansible playbooks. So directly what we did, we executed from Jenkins. Okay, we don't have to manually execute the Ansible. So any changes in future you need to do, what you can do, you can change in the Ansible playbooks and keeping in the GitHub repo and execute the jobs. So automatically the job will pull those details, changes, whatever has been done, and it will execute it. So this is how actually in the real time we work in the organizations or do the automations, right? So now let me show you, let me do some changes and execute again, and I'll show you how it gets executed in the backend also, right? So if I go here, let's go ahead and do the changes first. So here the application, we can see the application, what is given here, version 1.8. Okay, so let me just do some front end changes and then we'll see how it is getting updated. So where we have to do, so here you can get the entire project here, login web app, and I have created a branch called full stack deployment Ansible. You can use this one to do this deployment. Okay, and you have to do some necessary changes with relates to IP address and all this to completely work on this project. Okay, so what we have to do, so let's go ahead and in this welcome page, not in this welcome page, let's go back and in the index.jsp. Okay, so here what is age, the version, right? Somewhere we can see here the version is 1.8. So instead of 1.8, let me just change it to 2.0. Okay, what I'll do, let's change it to 2.0 and directly comment to this branch. Okay, so what I did, I just directly did some changes. The developer has done some changes, and what we can do, just go ahead and just click on the build. No need to do any changes to anywhere, right? Simply come here and do the changes. So what it will do, so though Ansible in the playbook, we have already whatever the task written to install the install Java, to install Tomcat, to do some changes and all these things, right? Those already been done. So this time, when we re-execute or restart the job, what will happen? It will skip those tasks, whatever it already completed once, right? So it will get all those facts, right, from the Ansible using the gathering facts, right? So all the facts, it will check first whether these are things installed or not. If it is installed, then it will ignore those things. So, and it will find that the things, whatever is no changes have been made, that particular part will get copied. So now we can see here, okay, so this particular, see, has been completed. Okay, now I don't have to go anywhere to any changes or any logs. So what I can do, I can just simply go here and refresh this page. See, it is the version is being changed to version 2.0, right? So this is how the complete automations you can do. Suppose tomorrow you want to do some changes to the Ansible playbook or anything you need to add, you can go ahead and do changes to the Ansible playbook and execute that job. I hope you understood clearly how we can do the complete integrations of Ansible in Jenkins and how we can write the playbooks and Jenkins pipeline script and the complete setups. If you have any doubt or anything you want to know further, do comment in the comment section below. I'll try to answer your queries. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe now so that you'll get notified when I add more videos on my channel. Thank you.